what we try to do for women, we're also trying to liberate men from the stereotype. And if you think men underwear, you normally think of some guy with six packs, with water dripping from their muscular shoulders. We're much more about, the really good guy, the dad that picks up his kids from school, the guy that works an extra shift to pay for the family vacation, the good man that actually everybody's thriving to be, and that doesn't get half as much attention as the hot-looking guy who spends all his time in the gym eating protein bars.
Hello and welcome to ESM Squared, the podcast for experienced social media marketers. I'm Emily, your host and long-term member of the team here at Iconosquare. Iconosquare is one of the leading analytics and management tools for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. We're proud to work with some of the biggest agencies in the world, as well as huge brands such as Patagonia, Sephora, Versace, even NASA and Sloggi, which is the brand we're putting in the spotlight in today's episode. If you're new to Iconosquare or just haven't got around to checking out our tools before, you can start with the basics by heading over to audit.iconosquare.com and getting a free audit of your Instagram and Facebook accounts to find out once and for all where you're flying high and where you're falling flat. These audits are so helpful and they are literally the best place to start when it comes to improving your social media strategy with analytics. If you're a regular listener of ESM Squared, you'll know that we have two types of episode: the interviews with social media experts, where professionals share with me and all of you their experiences working with social media, as well as their internal strategies, tips, tricks, and more. And we also have tutorial episodes in which I talk all by myself about a particular topic which can often be a burning question for social media marketers like you, and help guide you into making strong decisions for your social strategy. This episode is an interview, and I'm lucky to have been able to chat with Yaron Jacobs, who takes care of the social media strategy at Sloggi, the household name for comfortable, practical underwear. Listen carefully because Yaron's take on social strategy is as inspiring as the story behind the company is. Once you're done with this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the podcast and leave us a rating. And don't forget, you can trial Iconosquare for free for a whole 2 weeks, and you don't need to share any credit card information to get started. Contact me directly for any questions or feedback via emily@iconosquare.com. Today I'm joined by Yaron from Sloggi. It's such a pleasure to have you here today. Hi Yaron, how are you?
Hi Emily, it's very nice to speak with you. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you very much again for your time. Let's just start straight away with the questions. First question I want to ask is, obviously Sloggi is a very well-known brand. I don't know if that's because I'm in the right generation for it, but I'm certainly familiar with the brand as a household name. Can you give me a little bit of history on the company and how you came to be a part of the team?
Sure. So Sloggi is part of the Triumph Group, and we have two main brands in Europe and another brand in Asia and Japan. The two main European brands are obviously Triumph and Sloggi. Triumph has 150 years of heritage in the underwear industry, and Sloggi is a much younger brand that emerged in the end of the 70s out of deliberations by the company's owners, who are, by the way, still the same families. And they saw that at that time, the women's movement became very popular, and women started in protest on for women's rights to burn their bras, and that made them think and say, well, if this is going to continue, we need to totally change the spirit of what it is we're doing and come up with a product that fits the needs and requirements of modern women. And out of that revolutionary spirit that puts comfort first, Sloggi was sort of born, and that's what we stand for until today. We have this notion of creating what we call liberating true comfort. And that means comfort not in the sense of sitting on your couch and watching TV, but comfort in the sense like a sports sneaker would provide you with. That's the shoe that you would wear for running, the shoe that you would wear to go to work, that you can wear for hiking, that you can wear for just going out to town. Really anything you want to do is just more comfortable with it. And the same way we feel about our underwear. We want people to feel more liberated, more free when they wear our products, and to enable them to do whatever they do. And hence also the slogan, nothing can hold us back.
Brilliant. Thank you. I had no idea that it went all the way back to burning bras. That's so interesting that there's so much history behind the brand. Can you tell me what your main missions are within your team?
So I had the global digital team, and we work together with our local digital marketing organizations in different countries, as well as with our e-commerce teams, to streamline and enhance the impact of all our digital activities. That ranges from, of course, our own e-commerce channels, our digital distance retail channels such as Amazon or Zalando, to our activity on social media, where currently we're focused mostly on Instagram, as well as a little bit on Facebook, and we are going to be on TikTok as of next year.
Oh, wow. So interesting. What have you got planned in terms of content for TikTok?
Well, we're pretty much extending what it is that we're doing right now on our Instagram channels, but of course adjusting the formats and the way in which we engage with collaborators to match the best practices for TikTok.
Okay, so a lot of influencer marketing, I guess.
Well, I mean, right now we work with influencers, but we also produce a lot of content ourselves. When it comes to TikTok, it's going to be different because it's a pure video sound on platform, and we need to focus stronger on collaborators. So it will be an upgrade from what we do now with regards to complexity, but it's still going to have a strongly content and content focus rather than a pushing product focus.
What would you say your main goal is on social media as a whole at Sloggi?
Well, I sort of hinted on it already, and one of the first things we established when I joined the company is that we need a very clear reason of why we are on social media. We found that a lot of companies are on social media just because their peers are. And sometimes there is this false belief that, you post something on social media and suddenly everybody's going to want to buy your product just because of that. And obviously, this isn't really so. What I think we have realized, and what probably every company is sooner or later going to realize, is that when you are on social media, you become a publisher. You're running a channel, and people that follow you because you have interesting content playing on your channel. And what we're trying to communicate on our social media channel is much less about what the product does and much more about what you can do with the product. We're trying to tell the story of the source of what inspires us to create underwear that's just more comfortable and that doesn't hold you back. We're trying to show the type of people we think about when we make the product, the type of activities that we have in mind when we make it, and to tell real stories with really interesting subjects and topics to our audience, so that we can contribute to their experience on social media if they decide to follow us, and at the same time get to know us better as a brand.
That's such a good strategy, I think, you're selling a lifestyle, you're not selling just a product, you're selling a way of life through stories of real people who actually use your product.
The product we're making is also pretty unique, because if you're a fashion designer and you create a full collection of dresses and pants and shoes and jackets and handbags and whatever, you have a lot of different things to show. And then, just doing amazing photo shootings might be enough because it's just nice to see and interesting to see. But we believe that people who follow us, they don't just want to see a picture of a bra every day. And they want more than that. And that's really what we want to give them. And, as we said before, it's all about improving your level of comfort. Our main goal, and it's probably something we will never reach, but we're getting closer to it day by day, is to, normally you say when a woman takes off her bra, she has this sigh of relief. It says, thanks God I can take that off. And we want to reverse that. We want to have the sigh of relief when you put the product on and say, wow, this actually feels much more comfortable than being without it. And that sort of an enhancement of, how you can be better than yourself, how you can, take yourself, your interests, your social connections, your lifestyle to the next level, while at the same time being true to yourself and without having to push yourself too hard and staying in comfort. That's the narrative that we want to express.
You speak about obviously showcasing your clients and telling their stories. Who is your ideal client and how do you go about reaching them?
I wouldn't really say that there is an ideal person as much as there is an ideal mindset. Of course, we do the demographics, and we know that the majority of our consumers are in the age range between 20 and 40. But we have also older women that just swear by wearing Sloggi since, forever. And we also get increasingly more younger women who just had enough of the old way in which lingerie and underwear has been presented, and that don't want to conform anymore with that I have to be sexy and I have to be this and I have to be that. You can just be you, and you can still look good, and you can also feel good. And with this sort of mindset that I've already outlined, you have all sorts of ages, and you also have all sorts of gender, because while our main business is women's underwear, we also produce products for men, and I can tell from my own experience they're amazingly comfortable. And we also have a lot of men who are interested in what we have to say and what we communicate.
That's so interesting. I didn't even know that you did men as well. I was going to say, I guess it's mainly women, but I guess not.
Well, it is just because women's have a product on the top and a product on the bottom. There is more business coming out of the women's side of the equation, but we create men's products as well. And here, very similarly to what we try to do for women, we're also trying to liberate men from the stereotype. And if you think men underwear, you normally think of some guy with six packs, with water dripping from their muscular shoulders. And, we're much more about, the really good guy, the dad that picks up his kids from school, the guy that works an extra shift to pay for the family vacation, and, the good man that actually everybody's thriving to be, and that doesn't get half as much attention as the hot-looking guy who spends all his time in the gym eating protein bars. That's why we're also we're trying to support body diversity as much as possible, right? For men as well as women.
Well, it's the right century to be defending all body shapes, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it took so long.
Okay, earlier on you spoke about collaborating with some influencers here and there, but that you also created a lot of your social media content yourself. Is that you, or is that somebody else inside the team? Who actually designs and creates your content for social?
Well, of course, we work with agency partners. We have a global agency that helps us in leading that process. But we also work with our teams and partners in the markets in all our different countries, who then adapt the content into different languages, enhance it to suit their market, build upon it, on top of it, and expand it, so that we really cross-pollinate each other from the way we create content, and also the way we look at the results and learn from each other what works where. It's a big collaborative effort with a lot of people involved. And, for us in the global team, we sort of try to set the stage and to create a good framework and a, core pillar of content in the form of a strategy and methodology of how it is developed, that then everyone can chip into and utilize for their purpose.
And what type of content would you say does work the best? After having checked everything out, do you have a format in mind, or a tone of voice which works better than another, for example?
Well, it's really hard to say that in just a few words when it comes to tone of voice or one particular format. One thing that we know for sure is that when you build your social channel, you have to build it the same way as you would build any other media channel. You need to have a recurring content grid with formats that can be repeated and that become recognizable in a signature way to your audience. And if you would like me to expand a little bit on that, if you imagine that you're a TV channel, then you would have certain programs in your daily schedule. There would always be news, there would always be a game show, there would always be a movie in the evening, and there would be probably a talk show format and so on. These would repeat day by day, week by week, in the same way of formats. But of course, the candidates in the game show will be different, the topic of the movie will be different, the news content will be different, and so on. Same way in a newspaper. Newspapers always have the same pages: front page, opinion page, sports page, business page, and so on. But whatever is in there is new every day. Social media works the same way. If you take an influencer, let's say someone that reviews makeup products, then that person would always start by greeting the audience, maybe standing in front of the mirror, unpacking the makeup product, describing the ingredients, trying it on, and then give the review in the end. The rundown would always be the same, and of course, the content and the way it's executed would differ slightly from time to time. Same for us. We've developed a system that relies on different, we call them program containers, where we create different types of formats, and we repeat those always with different sort of content inspirations on a month-by-month basis to have a continuous red thread going through it. But to, really when people see a post that we created, they will already know that it's, that type of thing and whether or not they like it. And through that, we can really build an audience that sort of knows what to expect from us, and we know what we have to deliver in order to make them happy.
I absolutely love that comparison between the TV program and the newspaper. I've never heard it put like that before, but you are so right. Is there a particular example of content that you're proud of, that you were inspired and it paid off, or maybe on the contrary, something which you tried out and that didn't pay off at all?
Well, there's a lot of things we tried out that didn't work. There's always more that doesn't work than what does. There's something that we will be very proud of that's still not being published, but I really, really look forward to it. Unfortunately, I don't want to tell in advance what it's going to be. I can only say that it's a new content format that we're bringing out, where we are featuring interesting stories with highly inspirational thought leaders from across the world. And in that particular first episode, it would be a very unusual, exceptional athlete from Japan with a very unique story that really stands for everything that we stand for in terms of body diversity, in terms of supporting gender equality, and in terms of not letting life hold you back, as well as feeling comfortable with who you are.
Wow, well, I can't wait for that. What metrics do you pay attention to? What is important for Sloggi to measure, and why on social media?
I think, as in everything that we do, also here, we put the consumer first. The first thing that we're looking for is, are our followers happy? And the best way to see that is that we have more joining than leaving. So follower growth is really the most important. We also look at engagement rates, likes, and pretty much the standard metrics everybody looks at. But we pay more, I would say, much more priority on engagement and follower growth than, let's say, any type of more commercial metrics when it comes to social content. we really believe in separating content from advertising. And we do advertise on social media as well, and that's paid ads, and we target our target consumers, and we hope to make very attractive and interesting and entertaining ads that are relevant for our audience. But we really separate between the way we communicate as an advertiser as opposed to the way we communicate as a publisher.
Okay, because I suppose in advertising you're more about selling the product, whereas in your content you're selling the story, correct?
We're telling the story, and we hope that people will like the story. Yeah, advertising, the purpose of advertising is consumer information. There, we want to tell the world that we have a new fantastic product and that we recommend that they buy it, and we're sure they're not going to regret it if they listen to us. And of course, there we look at conversion rates and like every performance marketer. But when we are communicating on our channels, on our feeds on social media, then we're talking to people who may have already bought the product, who might already be our fans and just want to be in touch, or who are interested to consider buying from us, but they want to get to know us first. And then it's not about hardcore selling them to buy something from us, but they want to know who we are, what we're about, which world we live in, and if we are compatible with their world. And after all, we're making products that are very personal and that touch the most personal parts of a person's body. So it's also their good right to want to know who they're buying them from and to develop a certain relationship with us. And that's what it's about much more.
So cool. I love the fact that you have like such a strong conviction behind what you're doing and why you're doing it. There's no wishy-washy. You know exactly what you're doing and the reasons for doing it. I love that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you feel it.
Right, let's move on to the quickfire questions. We're right at the end now. I'm really excited to hear what you've got to say, so let's go for it. What takes up most of your time as a social media professional?
Well, I didn't really know what to say about that. Now I do. Because it's, no matter what, we think about the consumer. It's from the moment we wake up until we go to bed, we think about the consumer experience. And this is really unique in social media as opposed to any other form of media, that we are in direct correspondence with our consumers. They can ask us questions. They can tell us if they like or dislike what we do. We have to listen to them, and we want to constantly improve whatever we do on their behalf. So what takes up most of my time is really what I do all of the time, and that's to be the consumer's champion.
Your 3 essential tools for social media marketing.
Well, I'll mention one, which is Iconosquare.
Okay, well, that's cool. If we're number 1 for Sloggi, that's perfect for me. Your favorite accounts on social media, which can be completely personal to you, Yaron.
I'm not sure that would be so interesting for a lot of people, but I could say that I see Apple's account as one of the role models, because when you follow Apple, you hardly ever see an iPhone or a Mac, but you only see what you can do with an iPhone or a Mac. They talk in the language of the creators and the people that they want to inspire with their products. And we're trying to do the same thing, even though we're having very different types of products and very different price points and levels of technical sophistication. Even though we put a lot of technology into our material and into product research, but it still can't be compared. Yet, I think the understanding, the philosophy behind those accounts are very similar.
Right, yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that, but now you mention it, it's true. They don't often show their products, do they? That's cool. And finally, your advice to community managers. What advice could you give?
Well, 2, and they're a little bit conflicting. The one thing is there has to be something new, and the more often, the better. So novelty is very, very important. Like I said in the beginning, when we just keep showing products nicely spread out on whatever beautiful setting and we photograph it and post it, that's not what the audience wants to see. They may want to see it every once in a while, but if you only do that, it may be new product, but at some point it's just going to get boring and people will stop following you. So you need to come up with new things, with interesting things, with stories that matter to people all the time. And the other part of it is that quality goes before quantity. In social media, it's way more important to have content that touches people. You're competing against a huge quantity of content and information that's just a thumb movement away from you. You need to find things that make people stop their thumb and give you a few seconds of attention, and then to pull them in so that they can hear what you have to say. So there is a narrow balance that one must tread between having enough novelty and having enough quality. And it's not easy to do. And it probably, always takes a while until you find what I call your own language and your own style and appearance of the brand. But once it's there and once it emerges, then it's going to get much easier, and you're really going to be able to flow with the audience and to work with your contributors in a very smooth and easy way, because everybody's going to immediately know what it is that you're about.
Yeah, that's the best social media managers out there, the ones that can do that. You're right. Well, thank you so much for this interview. It's been really informative and I'm sure inspiring to other social media marketers out there. I'm sure that they'll enjoy listening to it as much as I have enjoyed interviewing you.
Thank you very much. And I hope that it was as interesting as I'd like it to be.
That wraps up today's episode. Don't forget you can check out our other tutorials and interviews with experienced social media marketers on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and TuneIn. Please don't hesitate to give this episode a rating. And for all questions and comments, or to inquire about being interviewed on ESM Squared, contact me directly via emily@iconosquared.com.